Hey, you wrestling fans out in the UK, I just want to shout out to all you guys and say thank you to Stewie, because you know what? I love this podcast, and remember, Stewie, the Mountie always gets his man.
You're listening to Stu's Wrestling Podcast. It's time. Your host, Stu Palmer.
My guest this week is a man who's worn many hats in pro wrestling over the past well over 20 years. He's had a career, and it is Mr. Ryan Katz, who was senior creative in NXT. He had a run with NXT in a backstage capacity, did a lot of camera work and stuff, but he also wrestled for years as well. He was in XPW in a match with New Jack, which he talks about at length, but yeah, just amazing stories. And he's also hosting the new Oh You Didn't Know podcast on Podcast Heat with Road Dogg. It's about Road Dogg's career, and it's been fantastic so far. They're 5 episodes in. They've actually got Scott Armstrong on this week, so I implore you to get liking and following and listening to that. It's been amazing, and I'll have links for that when I post. Ryan has stories with Dusty Rhodes from NXT as well. They got off on the wrong foot initially, but over time, he became a great mentor to Ryan, and we know how much Dusty has done for the business. So yeah, that was amazing to hear about that. And just everything that Ryan has done, he is just pure sunshine whenever you see him. He's such a happy man, and it's great. And I implore people to be more like Ryan, you know, it's great. But yeah, we're going to get right into it. I'm going to stop rambling. This is episode 115 of Stu's Wrestling Podcast with my guest, Ryan Katz, who you may also have known as GQ Money. Here we go. My guest this afternoon in the UK, it's late morning in Orlando, Florida. It is a man who is synonymous in wrestling. He has worn many hats in pro wrestling. He's done every job imaginable, actually. It's Mr. Ryan Katz on Stu's Wrestling Podcast, and it's episode 115, Ryan, of the show.
115 is quite an accomplishment. And Stu, 9 years ago, you were calling in and commenting on my AfterBuzz TV podcast, and now I'm a guest on yours. I gotta say, testament to hard work, passion, commitment, and dedication to doing what you wanted to do, living out your dream. Kudos to you, man.
Thank you, mate. I look up to you, of course, you know, and we've met as well. All the way. I'm thinking San Jose Access. You were there. You were milling about the NXT area. Always approachable. I know you were busy on them weekends as well. And then in the UK, we met a couple of times in the UK at the Christmas markets in Nottingham, yes. No less. You were with Big Bull, and yeah, you were always approachable and just so genuine, man.
I mean, because that's what the life's all about. Having fun, having travels, good experiences, good time, and then interacting with good, interesting people along the way. I mean, I was thrilled about it. You talk about the Christmas market. I mean, I got a chance to travel across the pond, and you hear a lot of stories from a lot of people who always talk about, oh, it's just to the gym, the arena, the hotel, and don't necessarily get a chance to see the cities they're going. The era of NXT, when we were doing that travel, we were so fortunate and lucky that we were generally able to explore most towns that we were in for at least the day or the night or however it worked, but it wasn't necessarily the full rush, hustle, and move type of situation. We had a little time to just say, hey, life is good right now, and we're killing it, and we're having these great shows with great crowds and interactivity of volume and raucous energy, and then you get to go experience and sightsee and explore and be the tourist, and what an unbelievable honor it is.
Just to segue a little bit on locations in the UK, what was your favourite place when you got to do the tours and stuff, man? And I'm sure there's many, but if you had to say one place that sticks in your mind.
There's so many that do, and every one of those shows brought something interesting, because there's something about that UK energy. There's something about that football crowd and that group mentality that, you go to wrestling shows in the US and you get energy and you get pops and you get cheers, but you get songs and you get clever creations and original chants in the UK. So all of those shows are incredible, but the one that always stood out and stands out to me is just that, man, it raised the bar of what it's like to go to a live event, was Blackpool, and the unbelievable experience of just energy. I think I've talked about it before, and I hate to repeat stories, but it's just one of those things that's electric and exciting and unforgettable and an undeniable memory that just wants to come out all the time. And that's like, it was Buddy Murphy and Weston Blake. Now I'm getting names confused because I got real names and then they change names once they leave. Yeah. But it was Bam taking on American Alpha, Gable and Jason Jordan, and the crowd chanted for 12 minutes before the lockup even happened, doing the Gable chants and I mean, it was just, and I was on camera at that time and I would get crowd perspective. It wasn't that I ever had an official camera that I was on the headsets and wired in where I always had to have the perfect shot. I got to run around the arena and go up to corners and on staircases and try to sneak behind people and get cool angles and all this type of stuff. And just that place and that theater, it was an experience, man, an experience.
The joy in your face there, Ryan, it says it all. It sums up your time within the WWE and NXT so well. And
8.5 years of joy and excitement, of being a kid in a candy store and getting the opportunity to live my dream. There's pieces of you that wish that it could go on forever. And then there's pieces of you that go, maybe it was the right situation at the right time. And now I get to go explore other outlets and maybe do something different. And who knows, in the future, if things happen. And there's always opportunity in life to be made the most of, and that's what I try to do. So we'll see how this all plays out, but I have nothing but smiles, even through grueling hard work and lack of sleep and deadlines and just a very tight ship of rigid, having to get things done the right way, quickly, efficiently, and all of these things, as hard as it would be, and sometimes getting yelled at, and sometimes getting denied what you want. It's the most amazing thing in the world, man. Once again, 8.5 years in WWE. I'm 5'5", 180 pounds now as an adult. But when I broke into this wrestling industry, about 140 pounds in 1999, and I made my dream come true. I got to compete in a ring. I got to be a part of major television shows like with WSX on MTV. I got to be a semi-main event player at XPW. I had this small short run at TNA. I got to be involved in motion capture in the WWE video game creation, and then to be a creative producer at WWE, man, blessed. I can't hashtag. I hate to go reuse the old phrases. I'm an old man. That's like an old one going back, but it's absolutely how I feel.
The embodiment of the American dream, and why not bring up the great man, one of the greatest wrestlers, people within wrestling, one of the most respected, and I know you had such a close bond with him down in NXT, in WWE, Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream, and just the fountain of knowledge that he had for you. Just some stories, man, of you in the Dream, because I know you were close. Just before even getting into my interactions, the timely aspects of that clip that just came out of Cody interacting with the guy at the crowd that looked like Dusty, had the puffy hair and in the outfit and cut the promo. I mean, Dusty touched the world, and he absolutely touched me. And I had to get that headlight out there. He did what? Yeah, very special
special places. He did. And 2 years of interactivity with him where, I don't know, man, there was just this bond and connection that was created that I haven't felt with that many people in life. So when he did pass, like, I was crushed, and I've had not too many people in my life pass away that I'm tight with, but like had a couple and have had relatives and this and that. But like this one was crazy because he was my mentor. He was, I mean, Dusty used to say this to me, like we used to interact, and when going through stuff and when trying to get his approval on ideas, he'd be like, look, Ryan, I'm not giving you approval. I also, before working with him, actually did a good Dusty impression. And once I started working with him, it just went to crap, man. I probably have one of the worst ones ever now. And like, I'm not making up. It used to be pretty decent. And now it just doesn't sound anything like him. And I don't know. So he used to be like, look, Ryan Katz, I'm not your boss. I'm your coworker. And I'm not just your coworker. I'm your friend. And it was really the type of thing that it meant so much. Because in the beginning, like, it wasn't an instant connection. I mean, I was this bold, dare I say, hotshot guy coming in. And I use the term hotshot just in that I have a confidence. I have an aura and energy about myself that where so many people, when they go through the wrestling business, they're told to walk in the door, close their mouth, open their eyes, open their ears, don't say anything, just do what you're told, do what you're asked. And that's just not a philosophy that I live by. I mean, I live by the philosophy of go big or go home, and be yourself and be authentic and be undeniable. And if you have that presence, and if you have that style, that attitude, that there is no chance that you can be denied. And through that undeniable presence, opportunities present yourself. But when you just stand there in a room, humbly waiting and nodding your head, you're just background, you're just background graphics at that point. And you're there to fill the scene and maybe to take the notes. But I was always walking in that building to try to be the best at what I can be, and be the best at the job, that was possible, and then learn and educate myself to try to enhance my skill set so that I can do more and be in an undeniable position of being indispensable to everyone. And that include Dusty. So I went off on a tangent as you're asking about stories, and my favorites become just the moments. We used to have some staff meetings, as he would like to say, with me, Corey Graves, and Richie Beans. That's Rich Brennan, voice of MLW. We used to call him the Beans. I don't know why it started, but Richie Beans was what his nickname was. And all of a sudden it'd be like, Dusty would be like, hey, yo, Katz, is it time for a staff meeting? And we'd be like, sure, let's have a staff meeting. He'd be like, hey, yo, Beans, take this order down. We're going to hot dog heaven. And all of a sudden, we'd just be making orders for hot dogs and fries. And our staff meeting would legitimately be just shooting the shit over lunch. And it was just amazing moments. And then through those things, I remember sitting with like the Revival in a room pitching ideas where it's just Dusty, me, the Revival, and I was making ice cream at the time. Katz's Creamery was definitely in effect, and it was in my pre-vegan days. So I was making what I would call top quality, extraordinary craft ice cream. And I will say I was ahead of the curve in the trend, because if you look in the grocery stores right now, and I don't know what it's like in the UK, but here in America, the craft creameries have become a thing, and there's these small batch, small brand ice creams that have been showing up. And I wanted to do this for so long, and it was just, I was making a premium product and it was expensive. So like I'd have to sell it for at least like $10 a pint to make things work. And I'll just keep going off on a tangent. I once sold my buddy 3 pints of custom-made Katz Creamery ice cream for $100 because I had to set the precedent that it was a premium product. But going back to that, I made ice cream for everyone. So Dusty was a fan of the sweets, and I made ice cream for Dusty, and I made ice cream for Seamus and Bill DeMott. Seamus asked me if I could make him a peanut butter and jelly ice cream, and I made him one of those. Mr. Regal asked for a gluten-free salted caramel toffee, and I made it happen. That Friends ice cream that asked for it was a Girl Scout cookies thin mint ice cream using no Girl Scout cookie thin mints, and nailed the flavor I was incredibly proud of. And I had labels and I had sweet pint things, and it was just, all right, once again, I'm off on a tangent.
It's fine. You got to go off on these tangents, Ryan. It's what you're about. It's
Dusty Rhodes, man, in the car, ready? Yeah. He needed me to go take him to go pick up his car, which was in this shop. And me and Dusty have a connection in a language based on a philosophy of Hippie Dogg Productions. And one time when he asked me to go drive him, he's just like, please take me to go get me my car, but do me a favor. I'm not getting in the car with you if you potted up and got pot in that car. So don't let me get in that car if you got pot. And it was just one of those things that was like, man, Dusty Rhodes doing a weed check on me before taking a ride. And it's just hysterical stuff. We just used to have all these conversations because I was a skier, and because I had family in a place in Colorado, and I'd usually take my vacations there. He was just always involved. And that Hippie Dog thing was just something he always wanted to do, which was just going to be our like little side film production company where we went and made some side little short films under the banner of Hippie Dog Productions. And unfortunately that's something that never got a chance to come to fruition, but like the memory lives on and his legacy will live on forever. And that guy is one of the most phenomenal people ever. I'm trying to think of some specific stories, and I don't want to go into stories that I've told before that people can hear, because the story of him hating me in the beginning and storming around the building with this, who does this guy think he is? He's been here for 4 minutes. I've been here for 40 years. What does he think he's doing? Because Canyon Seaman, my boss, asked me to move a table out of his office so that there was furniture set up, and all of a sudden, like, I get a call and Canyon's like, I heard he moved the table into his office. I had told him I didn't want it there, and he put it there. So all of a sudden I'm the guy moving it out, and it happens to happen when he walks in the door. So I got caught red-handed carrying this thing, and it was just it for a day. And I thought my journey at WWE would come to a short, crushing, quick finale. And fortunately, it did not. And things worked out, and it was extraordinary. And we got to just create some fun content. And the interesting thing about what I got to do and with him was that there was just most of what we created was never seen, and probably never will be seen, unless maybe 10 years from now in the archives they start splicing in these footage of this footage of these things that we created. But like, there's so much that's shot and archive that it's going to be hard to figure out where things are, what things were, especially with that new building being created, at the Performance Center. And I'll take a little blame. I don't know if my organization was necessarily as tight as the corporate WWE system, and we learned and there became a system of efficiency. But in those first couple of years, man, we're winging it a little bit and just trying to make things happen and going guerrilla and just making things happen for as many people as we could to get them out of the building of the Performance Center and up onto the main roster. Because that first year, 2 years, that was 100% the goal. Get them in and get them out, especially because so many of those people had been in the FCW system for so long that we just it was time, and there was frustration, and people were ready to make the move where it's either I'm either going up or I'm getting kicked out. So let's make some stuff happen. And we got to do that with guys like Adam Rose, with Ty Dillinger, with Corey Graves, with Tyler Breeze. With Emma, with Paige. It was extraordinary. I mean, so much talent, so many cool people doing cool things. And it's just one of those things that, like, once again, I say it, like, I can't help but smile. And I won't lie. We use a phrase on my podcast, chair shots and bong resin, where I might not have had as many chair shots. Mine were usually big falls and bong resin, but like, I got a forgetful memory. So the specifics sometimes slip my brain until some people kind of spark up that little moment where it's like, oh, yeah, I do remember that. But Dusty's king. I actually I wish I would have grabbed it before setting up. I got a Dusty puppet sitting over here that someone sent us after he passed, that sent it to me, wanted me to have it. And it was just like, it's something that I'll cherish forever.
Amazing. I love it. I had to ask about him.
Yeah. Current ref Sean Bennett came back from WrestleMania Access, and they were selling the, I got it right over here. They were selling the replica Hall of Fame statue, of him. Yeah. And he was like, man, I saw it there. I had to buy you one. And I'm like, I got it displayed right there under my championship. And he just so special, man. Like, I'm a guy who talks and rambles, and it could almost take my breath away because he was the ultimate storyteller and makes me look like I'm a clumsy, bumbling fool.
Amazing. Now, more currently, a montage preview of a new podcast came out about a month and a half ago now.
Yeah.
With yourself, the Road Dogg, Brian James. Oh, you didn't know, on Podcast Heat. And we come to find that you're the host. And I know obviously you got the connection with Brian, with Road Dogg. And I was made up. I was made up when I knew you were coming into the podcast world. And the first 4 episodes have been fantastic. Is episode 5 out tomorrow? Is it Thursday?
Tomorrow will be the launch. We launch every Thursday, and I think it's 6 a.m. Eastern time here in the States. And it's exciting. And this was one of those things that when I got let go and was trying to figure out where my life's going to go, what's going to happen, and what I can do. Obviously, as a broadcaster in the past and having a background, podcast crossed my mind and was something that I thought would be fun and interesting, but I just didn't know what my hook was and how it would work out. And then as opportunities come, like, I got a phone call from Road Dogg, and he was kind of like, I got approached about doing a podcast, and I was really wondering if you'd be willing to do it with me, because we've had a relationship through working together for so many years. We have this fun chemistry, and as people, we almost have somewhat of a conflicting, contrasting personality. Like, we both have different views on life, but still bring forth an energetic happiness, so to speak. So like, there's just this it clicks, and he asked me if I'd be in, and like, pretty much without hesitation, it was like, yeah. And then to find out that it was going to be part of Podcast Heat and going to be part of the network of all the other shows with ad-free network or ad-free shows as well. Mm-hmm. Like, man, to get to be involved with what, I got to be honest, some of the kings of the wrestling podcast world right now, and to be on the marquee in the lineup with the likes of Jeff Jarrett's and Eric Bischoff's, and the Road Dogg being my partner in this, or me, I should say, just riding his coattails. I mean, this is a new chapter that's fun, that every week we get in there and we talk about a little moment of his history and try to fill the people in with some stories and all of that. But it's interesting because, like I said, it's one of those things that, similar to me, we both have those kind of forgetful things, and we have this thing we kind of do where, as I said, chair shots and bong resin, and it's one of those things that kind of makes our show a little bit unique, because we're both a little bit lost. We're both a little bit kooky. We're both a little bit wacky. And I think from some of the user comments, I think people wish I'd be a little less wacky, but like, it's just who I am, man. That's just me. I've been me for 45 years right now, and it's going to be pretty tough to change.
You've got to be yourself, Ryan. I've said this all along about, other people doing it. That's it, and it comes across. And I love the fact he calls you Katsy as well. That sticks out for me.
I
loved it. I tell you.
That was my nickname in high school on my high school wrestling team. My coach was named Lino Martinez, and he had a really growly voice. And he taught all the Spanish classes, a Mexican gentleman, and had this growly voice. He'd always be like, Katsy, you got to shoot the double. But I can't even do his voice right now. That's not like my impressions are horrendous. I come at you with energy, but not necessarily with impressionistic skills. But like I owe a lot of where I'm at because of a guy like that. Lino Martinez and his co-coach, assistant coach Mike Erb, 9th in the world in amateur wrestling back then, Samba and freestyle specialist. Those guys made me who I am, taught me discipline, taught me sacrifice, taught me what it means to do hard work, taught me what it means to push past what it is that you think is being tired, taught you that your mind will quit before your body will. And if you keep going, and if you keep pushing, and you drive, and you feed on your passion and your energy and your commitment, that you can do more, and you can be better, and you can grow, and all of those things, man. All of those are qualities that were instilled with me. And I was fortunate to have coaching staff back then. And then as my career went on, mentors. Let's talk more mentorship right there. AfterBuzz TV, Kevin Undergaro, a mentor for me, who believed in me, who coached me, who gave me some drills and gave me some gigs and kept me going and networking and just tried to make me the best host and best person and personality and worker that I can be. And then Canyon Seaman over in WWE, who not just my boss, became a mentor, became a friend. We were able to just get, once again, coaching. I can't stress that enough. Surround yourself with people who have skill sets, who have knowledge, who have something to offer that you don't offer yourself, and enrich yourself with that education, enrich yourself with that viewpoint, that view, and try to look at life from perspectives other than your own so that you can grow. And as people, we can all live in harmonious health and happiness, because the world needs a little bit of joy and energy. And it's funny, we're talking about the podcast with Dogg that drops every Thursday on all outlets, from iTunes to Spotify to YouTube and anywhere else you probably get your podcast. But when I read the comments, so after not being in the spotlight and being pushed into the behind the scenes role for the last nearly 9 years, I haven't had to deal with public ridicule. And now when I read the comments, like on the YouTube videos of each episode, and see the people critiquing, criticizing, and dare I say, it's not even a critique and a criticism. It's just kind of bashing. They don't like my voice. They don't like my energy. I'm too much. I'm this. Tone it down a notch. And I sit and I say, I'm bringing happiness, and I'm bringing joy, and I'm bringing enthusiasm, and I'm bringing energy to a podcast, because we don't want to be mundane. We don't want to be monotonous. We don't want to be the same thing that you've heard, because we're not the same people that are doing those other podcasts. Road Dogg is a WWE Hall of Famer, and he is that because he is a larger than life, charismatic and spastic, over the top, rambunctious superstar that's able to deliver quality entertainment on the microphone, sometimes obnoxious, sometimes crossing over the line, but always bringing you forth energy and fun and bounds of entertainment. And I feel that I fit in that same category, while much lower down the totem pole is Hall of Fame. worked in the office down here. Not the same thing, but like energy. Because I'll say this right now, for anyone who's trying to pursue a job behind the scenes in the business of professional wrestling, I encourage you to have almost similar philosophies that would be coming from those trying to pursue his talent. And that means don't be boring. Don't be quiet. And even if you're shy and introverted, that's okay. You could be who you are. We're telling you, be yourself, but you got to find something that still has a spark, that still has an energy, because working behind the scenes in a machine like that, you got to be able to bring your energy, because you may have 10-hour days, you may have 12-hour days, 14-hour days, 16-hour days. It just depends on the situation. And that's not just one day a week. That may happen 4 days a week, 5 days a week. You may go on a 10-day run if you're on a road trip or tour internationally. You got to bring passion. You got to bring excitement. And it doesn't matter if you're talent or you're a worker or you're a staff member. You got to love what you're doing and be able to show that to everyone you're involved with, because it makes the overall product and workplace and environment better. Let's bring the happy energy and make the world a better place.
Quite the wordsmith you are, I tell you. But yeah, no, it's right. It's right. There's too much negativity, and as you say, they aren't able to do it. A lot of these people aren't able to do what you can do, what Road Dogg can do. It's sour grapes. I call it. I call it as I see it, as I hear it. It's ridiculous.
I appreciate it.
Because they couldn't do it. They couldn't do it. It is. They wouldn't have a Scooby Dog reference there.
You talking Scooby-Doo, and I had to wear this pin special for you. I put on the Hong Kong Phooey specially for Stewie right there, man.
Right, I'm going to move on. We've got Boca Raton Championship Wrestling. This Sunday, Josh Woods is on the card. There's many others as well. So, yeah, what's going to be happening on the weekend?
Man, this is kicking off the cool Katz summer right here. We're getting down with Boca Raton Championship Wrestling, and this is my return to independent professional wrestling. It's been 9 years since I've been part of a show, and I was retired as an in-ring competitor by Brawlin' Bo Cooper at Millennium Pro Wrestling. Lost my career, and now I can't go into the ring because I'm a man of my word, but am I when it comes to pro wrestling? Am I? No, I can't go into the ring, but I am the voice of Boca Raton Championship Wrestling, and saying I'm excited is an understatement, because the co-owners and co-founders of BCRW, Matthew Massler and Neil Glazer, have put together something special, and it's going to be a spectacle and an extravaganza. And you talked about Josh Woods being on the card. ROH Pure Champion reigning, and he's going to be stepping into the ring against another top superstar, Impact Wrestling's Steve Maclin. And this match is going to be one for the ages, because both of these guys are a combination of brawlers and technicians. And we're going to see if it's going to be Maclin trying to just knock out Woods, or Woods looking for some sort of technical submission. And it's going to be a match that has the probability of being the most technically proficiently sound and the most exciting in terms of just true mat wrestling ability. But we also have excitement because it's also the women who are going to be competing, as there's going to be a triple threat featuring 3 of former Performance Center and NXT standouts, all with stellar personalities, in-ring skills, because we're going to see a whole lot of women. MJ Jenkins, baby, and she's going to bring her sass and all of that as she takes on Jessie Elaban and Santana Garrett. I mean, talk about athleticism. Santana Garrett brings it every single time. Jessie Elaban brings it. MJ Jenkins brings it. This women's match is going to be exciting. And there's more still, because AEW's Brazilian brawler, member of the Wingmen, Cesar Bononi, is going to be stepping into the ring against the 7-foot tall giant, Jack Talos. Talos is represented by Frank the Clown, and Talos has been trying to make a name for himself. For people that don't know who Jack Talos is, he was another person who had a short run at the WWE Performance Center, but things didn't work out how he wanted. A professional basketball player before arriving there, worked for the Washington Generals in a feud against the Harlem Globetrotters. But he's bringing a lot of pent-up anger, pent-up frustration, and hostility to this match. And I think both of them are trying to prove that they want to be contenders for the gorgeous Boca Raton Championship Wrestling title belt. It's funny. I'm used to saying championship title, but I'm allowed to say belt now. But saying belt sounds so awkward because of all these years of being under the restrictions of having to say it one way. But they both want to be contenders, and this is going to be a fight to see who's going to be fighting for that championship in the future. And as I bring up that title, you got to go check out the Instagram at BRCW Florida, because there's a picture of this title, and Cool Cat Summer is this little thing I'm wearing. But if I were to tell you that the title itself has a vibe that looks a little bit like that, it's on the neon blue strap. It's got the palm trees. It's got the flash and pizzazz and that je ne sais quoi and savoir faire and flair and all of that. And it just has that Boca Raton vibe. And for those of you in the UK who may not understand what Boca Raton is, it's like South Florida, and it's where all of the Floridians come, and all the New Yorkers come in the winter to get away from the winter, and they leave in the summer because it's too hot. But it's about South Florida, and we're gonna bring Florida's finest wrestlers to brawl by the beach. I mean, we're talking high-end flash, and I don't think it's gonna be an audience that's a typical pro wrestling audience. I think we're gonna be seeing people in their finest jewels and in their designer clothes and clutching their handbags, and it's going to be an experience for the ages, and the only way to experience it is to experience it live. So while your listeners probably aren't in Florida, if they are, go to BocaRatonWrestling.com to pick up your tickets. I mean, I'm heating up. I'm getting sweaty thinking about it because we're less than a week away, and this is going to be an experience to remember.
Where's the venue, Ryan? Just for people in the vicinity of Florida, who can get there, maybe further afield.
So as I say, Boca Raton is a little bit north of Miami, but we're talking South Florida in the Miami South Beach kind of vibe. So when you think, once again, palm trees, neon, A-listers, red carpets, Lamborghinis, and high-end cars pulling up, it's going to be taking place at the Boca Black Box, which is, once again, a phenomenal theater out there in Boca that brings forth culture, and we're going to bring the culture, that wrestling culture, and we're going to have a good time with everyone. And let me bring this up because this is something interesting that Matthew had mentioned to me. The Pillow Fighting Championship is actually going to be on the line. And I don't know if anyone's seen this. It's one of those things that have gone viral, similar to the slap fighting kind of thing. Legitimately, people are having these, we'll call them fights. They got the feather style pillows, which I don't know if you know, and if you've ever been in a pillow fight, you can make those kind of, pack those pretty tight and make them pack a wallop. And people are going like 3 rounds with full out trying to knock each other out in a pillow fight situation. So unpredictable is definitely a word I'd be calling this show. And I'm not sure what we're going to see, but I do know it's going to be a good time.
All the action in South Florida, Boca Raton, not Boca. I'm UK pronouncing it there.
And it's funny because I say Boca Raton, and I know that Tino Sabatelli, who is Savvy Piscatelli, if he's no longer Tino at this point, Savvy Piscatelli, who considers himself the king of Boca, I think he would say Boca Raton. And it's just, there's going to be, I think there may be a war between the Bocanites of if it's Raton. I mean, This is going to be like the Mean Street Posse on steroids. This one's going all out.
Absolutely. It's going to be amazing. I can't wait to see some footage. It'd be great. Really,
I think we may have just gotten some booking ideas through those random statements, because I think we may need to set up in the future at a show. I'll talk to Matthew and Neil, because maybe we got to bring the Mean Street posse out of retirement from the mean streets of Greenwich to take on the Boca Bad Boys and see if we can get a little preppy gang warfare going on.
Absolutely. Right, I'm going to delve into you, the wrestler. I know you've been retired for some years now, but you've had quite the career. But who inspired you? Who was the inspiration for you to get into pro wrestling so many years ago? Who was the main? Who was that? Because I've never asked you this.
It goes to Macho Man Randy Savage and the Road Warriors. I mean, those were my people. It was on the NWA side that I was a Road Warriors fan. I mean, hearing the Iron Maiden, hearing the Black Sabbath, hearing the Iron Man is what I meant to say. Come on, like, I was stoked, and they came out with those spikes and the face paint. And as a little scrawny kid from the suburbs of Chicago, they just captivated my imagination. And I was an instant fan. And then we go over to the WWF side, and it was all about Macho Man, Jake the Snake, Mr. Perfect, Ravishing Rick Rude. Like, those became my people. Those were absolutely my favorites and my inspiration. But being a smaller person, and when I eventually decided that I was breaking in, obviously I was influenced by Bobby the Brain Heenan. There was Paulie Dangerously influences for sure. I mean, wrestling's filled with so many talent that I think the best thing you could do is take a little bit from here, mix it, put it together in the bowl, create your own magical recipe that's just kind of a portion of each of their ingredients, instead of necessarily ripping off who these various influences are.
Now, XPW, you were very well known. GQ Money, I can remember it. I was a lot younger, but obviously yourself, Joey Chaos, XPW, working for Rob Black. I know we've had a bit of a expose with Dark Side of the Ring, but you don't necessarily, they pull back the curtain a little bit, but you were in amongst it. You were there. So yeah, just
XPW was crazy, man. I mean, I what am I? It's probably 2001, so I'm 25 at this point in my life, and I gotta be honest. At 25 years old, I'm living my best life at XPW. For those unfamiliar, which is I would think few if they're listening to this podcast, owned by an adult entertainment company known as Extreme Associates. There were perks and fringe benefits involved with working for Rob Black, and to say I had a good time would be an understatement, and to say that we were just off our rockers crazy would also be apropos, because we kind of just felt like there were no rules and no boundaries, and we were able to push the limits and just do things that made people go, what are these guys thinking? Are they okay? What drugs are they on? Are they going to kill somebody at a show? And what's going to happen if they do? Like, that was the environment. I remember at the show Genocide, which just by the name itself, like, you probably couldn't name a show that nowadays, but it was our version of the War Games, and it was 2 cages. And at that show, I think the audience felt like someone may die in the audience because the cage might have collapsed on them. Like, this thing was swaying through the match, and you'd hear people, whoa, whoa. And then there was just always this feeling, from a breaking cage to the scaffolds, like legitimate 40-foot high scaffolds. The New Jack Vic Grimes clip goes down in infamy as one of the scariest, craziest pro wrestling bumps ever. The story, of course, being, I've told it a million times, I'll make it quick just because I'll say it 1,000,001, that we moved the ring before the show started. I remember, I always say, Vic asked me when I first got to the venue to climb up the scaffold and tell me what I thought. And I come back down and I'm like, the ring's not lined up. He's like, yeah, man, the ring's not lined up. So we had to grab everyone, from the back, the crew and anyone available. And we moved the ring. And if we didn't do that, man, I mean, gone. See you later. Over. Vic Grimes would not have had the outcome that he did, which was extraordinary because in the end, we get to reveal these things now as all these years ago. Didn't even have any major injuries after that thing, like some minor little things, but like I was the guy who did all the press and PR for that stuff, but like we put out a list of fake injuries that were not real, man. Like he was hobbling. he may have been hurt, but not injured at that point. But so
could you tell there was an undercurrent that day?
He's going to probably hit me up and be like, what are you talking about, dude? Your memory is definitely skewed. I was messed up, but we'll see how this plays.
Could you tell, as it pertains to New Jack and Vic Grimes, there was an undercurrent that day, or were you none the wiser?
Absolutely. Yeah. There was a strange, ominous feeling and energy, and you knew that there was heat, and you knew that New Jack had ill intent, and that it was going to get serious, and it was going to get personal, and it was going to get crazy. I'm showing a lot of chest hair right there. I was trying to show off my shirt, and the tank hangs a little low. I mean, I don't have to give you guys the taco meat right now. I'll try to be a little bit more tasteful. But yes, and you sit and you look at the situation and the taser and the bump. And then the verbal attack after, like Vic Grimes is lying there almost dead, and New Jack comes climbing down the scaffold and just gets in his face and is eating him up and bad-mouthing him and all of these things, and it's a little bit scary and uncomfortable to watch. And wrestling's supposed to be a bit of a work, or is supposed to be a work, and this becomes those moments where you're like, I don't know what I'm watching, what I'm witnessing. And I remember I was actually on a balcony shooting fan cam footage, as I've always done my whole career. Even when I was wrestling, I still always had a camera in my hand when I wasn't in the ring, and was getting some alternate view shots. And I just remember seeing that and like, wow. And then the next day I went to the office, because I'm always at the office, because that's the way I do things when I work for a company. I work like 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and I make myself fully available. But like, I'm at the office and we're ingesting the footage of the show, and the phone rings and I happen to pick it up, and it's New Jack. And he goes on a rant for like 5 minutes about how he was going to kill Vic Grimes, but then realized that would be a bad idea, because if he did, that would be not just bad news for him, but it would be bad news for everybody, because then XPW would be shut down, and then there'd be problems, and he was going to do the altruistic thing by not killing Vic Grimes, and making sure that he just sent a message instead. And I'm sitting there on the phone going like, I don't know that I want to hear this. This is some intense stuff. Like I'm living this life, but like, I'm a pretty sheltered kid. I grew up in the suburbs. I had a Brady Bunch / Cosby Show lifestyle. And I can't even use that reference anymore now, because Cosby's a horrible human being. But he used to represent the utmost of family and fatherhood. And it ruins like the analogies of my life, because I had a really good upbringing, and I had that sitcom family, in the sense of things just went pretty well. And of course, we had our struggles and our problems and our hard times. But when I look at the situation of the world and other people around me, my life was pretty good. And I always had a beautiful roof over my head. And I always had amazing, delectable food in my belly. And I always got to partake in cultural events and go on vacations. And I was so extraordinarily blessed by my family's love and support, and their instillment of morals and values and hard work, that like, it all is like crazy that I'm hearing this guy telling me he was going to kill somebody. And I'm like, pro wrestling's supposed to be a work, man. It's supposed to be a work.
How was New Jack, with you personally? Were you scared of him? I get that aura. If I was a talent, if I was at the event, I'd be shit scared of him. Simple as that. But I suppose you didn't want to show him you were shit scared.
So exactly, and that's what it is. And one of my first experiences was for the show Blown to Hell 2 or Halloween in Hell 2. I think the shows were both names, one DVD with one live event, however it worked. Blah, 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 blah. It was the Supreme versus Vic Grimes exploding death match. So it's funny, AEW, like after there's fizzled out in that Dean Ambrose situation, people were showing the clips of when XPW did it because our ring, like, man, we did some crazy pyrotechnics at XPW. Like, our explosions were hardcore a lot of these times. So as I'm losing my train of thought, and there's my ADHD going, bring me back. Where were we?
You said like your
New Jack. That's it.
Your
So at this show, I go to the office to find out what I'm doing that night at the show, and Kevin tells us, you're gonna have an interaction with New Jack, and I'm like, oh God, and he's like, and we want you to bleed. And I was like, oh God, I've never bled. And he's like, no big deal, blah, blah, blah. Ask Supreme, he'll show you how to do it, in Chaos. And they all show me what to do of how to gig. Because at that point in my career, we're probably a year and a half, 2 years. We're probably a year and a half, 2 years in at this point, something like that. And of course, I hadn't gigged. And of course, that's what XPW is known for. So I go home and I pull a white shirt because I know if I'm going to bleed, I gotta go in a style that's gonna show this. So I get a white button down in my blue and white seersucker slacks, and a pink headband, and I put together. It actually matches this Kango hat. You said a man of many hats, Kango. Going to XPW days. I did a Kango commercial back on XPW TV, part of ETV on the Enterprise. All right, we're going on all these tangents. So all of a sudden I'm in the back and I'm with New Jack and he's like, so you done this before? And I'm like, yeah, a few times. And he's like, all right, kid. And that's that. And I'm just like, all right, we got past that part. Match happens, Chaos versus New Jack, and then it's the post-match interaction, and I'm getting involved. And New Jack, I turn towards New Jack as he just pummels me with a garbage can, and I go down. And as I go down, I take my blade, and I go for what someone told me there were two techniques. You can, I shouldn't be, I'm not going to reveal the techniques. That's not what I would do. So I go for my move, and I'm like, I'm not getting a drip, and they're telling me I'm going to get a drip. And I'm like, and if I come up and I got like no blood, New Jack's going to slice my head open. And I'm legitimately just totally freaking out and scared. So at that point, I'm like, what are you going to do? Slice my head. Whoosh. Oh, I felt the drip. And to say like this warm, gelatinous, just ooze. And everyone told me in the back, spit everything out and get it out of your eyes. Those are like the rules of hardcore blood. Just don't let it coagulate and get crusty around your eyes. You want to be able to open your eyes, see. So just fling that away from the eyes and just get it going. I'm gushing. And at this point, I know that me and New Jack have an interaction where he's going to come off about a 22-foot tower onto me on the table. And we fight outside of the ring, and we're on the dirt pile and the rodeo, and I'm just taking rolling bumps. And once again, I'm wearing white, so I'm like, I'm going to go make a mess of myself. And it doesn't matter. I got this big, huge wound across my head. I'm rolling around in dirt at the Pico Rivera Sports Arena, which is a rodeo ring, which happens to be my favorite venue ever. Like that place was just incredible because we got to do wild stuff with it being outdoors and it having different props that were there. It was just an incredible place. And New Jack goes and he does his balcony dive, and in the clip that's available, and it's on my YouTube channel and you can check it out. It's called GQ Money is a Bloody Mess. He takes the whole table himself, man. I mean, this guy didn't even touch me. And it's so funny because big, bad, scary New Jack on camera pretty much breaks character. And you see him tap me on the belly and he's just like, good job, kid. And it was just one of those moments. And I'm just laying dead, legs like bent, arms bent, like blood's gushing. You see it flowing from my head, devastation and all of that. The security picks me up and carries me out. We get to the back and New Jack and me are talking, and of course in wrestling, as we all thank each other for allowing us to come back safe and having a great match and situation and involvement. And he looks at me and he's like, Smiley. Everyone called me Smiley back then. He's like, Smiley, I was about to hit you in the head again with that garbage can, but I saw your head and it looked like you had a vagina on your forehead. And I was like, nope, we just go into the balcony. And it was just one of those moments where like he took sympathy on me. And like it was just, I have this calming, soothing effect on some big bad people sometimes where like I bring out the good in them. It's something about my personality.
Two people who couldn't be poles apart, but yet the unity after the match.
So then, let's talk more about the fear of New Jack.
Yes.
So post XPW, when I moved down to Nashville and I go to TNA for a little bit, and all of a sudden I walk into the back at TNA and I run into New Jack. And in my mind, I've always been good with New Jack. So after that experience, of course, for another year and a half, 2 years at XPW, there's a relationship and friendliness and everything's cool. So I go shake New Jack's hand and he doesn't let it go. And he's holding it and he's holding it and he doesn't let it go. And he goes, oh shit, Smiley. What goes around comes around, motherfucker. And I'm like, what? And he's like, oh shit, yeah, you didn't think I'd know. You didn't think I'd know. And I'm like, know what, New Jack? Know what? He's like, oh, you didn't think I'd know you talked all that shit. You don't think and I have no idea what he's talking about. And this is the start of my hopeful tenure at TNA, and I'm just like, oh wow, man, he's gonna just destroy me and they're gonna put me in an angle and just destroy me. That didn't end up happening, and in the end it was because of my involvement in the creative side of XPW. When New Jack eventually left XPW and talked all his smack about Rob Black and XPW, of course on the TV show of ours, we had our rebuttal and had some what I would call like anti-New Jack promo packages. And I think he took that as me being in the creative, that I was involved in that. So it was, oh, you talked all that crap. And it was like, no, dude, that was pro wrestling. I mean, that was nothing personal. That was a television show of writing out your character. I don't think you should be offended about that one. And I think you gotta realize once again, it's a work.
There we go. There we have it. Katsy, I've got another thing to bring up. Your ebook, which is going to help so many people want to get in the industry. And yes, it's How to Be a Pro Wrestler, and it's available at howtobeaprowrestler.com.
Now that you found me, you found your path, map, guidebook, and coach to take you on your journey. How do I get started? Do I have to go to wrestling school? Is there money to be made? And can I get paid? All these questions and more will be answered in my new ebook, How to Be a Pro Wrestler. A quick and easy read and resource guide to get you started on your journey.
$4.99 at present as well.
Yeah, man, it's cheap. Look, I'm not reinventing the wheel. I'm not really revealing crazy secrets because, let's be honest, the world of professional wrestling has been unveiled. The secrets have been uncovered. What I have done is put together a lot of research and done the work for you so you don't have to do it. It kind of gives you the breakdown of what you need if you want to start your career, how you should kind of prepare yourself, what you should be doing, what you should have, what supplies you need going in. It also has a resource of wrestling schools. It has a collection and a breakdown of many different jobs if you don't want to be a wrestler but still want to be involved in wrestling, of how you can be involved. And then it really just talks about, if this is what you want to do, you got to be different and you got to stand out, and you can't be doing what everyone else is doing, because if you want to do it on the grand scale, you got to stand out in a landscape of people who stand out. And once you have the biggest and the best and the fastest and the brightest and the most entertaining and the most powerful and the best looking, and they're all standing in the room together, everyone kind of looks the same at that point. So now, once again, how do you stand out from that group? And it's a lot easier to do so at the lower levels when people don't necessarily look great, but it's about looking great. And if it's something you want to do, like you need to find an expertise, and you need to find something that makes you so outside the box, extraordinarily unique, that you can have success without professional wrestling. And then you bring that success into professional wrestling, and in turn become more successful and make even more money. Because I gotta be honest, even when you look at the landscape of everyone in professional wrestling that makes their living as a performer, the people who need professional wrestling, especially starting out, struggle to have what it, not necessarily have what it takes, but struggle to make things happen, because you need resources, you need money, you need to be able to invest in yourself for gear and for boots, and you need to be able to go travel and then pay for repairs and breakdowns on your vehicle, and you need to be able to invest in promo pictures, and you should enhance your skill set and be able to do your own self-promotion and editing and marketing and all of these types of things. And you need to put together the total package that makes you valuable, that once again, now you have all these skill sets that you don't need professional wrestling. You can go make a living in your life without it. But then professional wrestling says, wow, you're talented, you're extraordinary, you're interesting, you have a hook, you have a niche, you have a fan base, you have an audience that listens to you, that likes you, that gravitates towards what you have to offer. And now we want you. And now not only do we want you, we want to pay you money. And then there's the side of the people that want to be professional wrestlers so bad, and it's all they want to do, and it's the only thing they want in their life, and they swear that they want it more than anything, but they're 140 pounds. And that's okay. You can be smaller and you could still make it. But even at 140 pounds, you better be putting in the time at the gym. You better be putting in the work. Your stamina and endurance better be on blast. You better be able to go 40 minutes, 50 minutes, 60 minutes inside that ring and put on marathon pace matches. You better be able to absorb all of those things. But that's not necessarily what happens, because what happens is people tend to speak a big game. They say how much they want it, but they don't actually put the work into place to prove what they're saying is true. You have to dedicate, you have to sacrifice, you have to put commitment in to make sure that you are, what I said before, an undeniable asset to any company that wants to put you on their show. So it's about drive, because then here's the balance. I talk about dedication and commitment, but this is now where you can get taken advantage of, because now you're so dedicated and you're so committed and you have that sacrifice, and now you'll work for anyone because you want the exposure and you want the publicity, and if I only get this opportunity, it's going to open up the door to this opportunity, and then that opportunity opens up the door to this opportunity. But if you don't put your foot down and demand and show respect for yourself, that you're a business and it is about getting paid and it is about getting something that benefits you and not just benefits the promoter. These are all the things I talk about in the book, because as I said, the traditional wrestling school philosophy is close your mouth, open your ears, open your eyes. There's some truth to it. You can't walk into a place and be an arrogant, egotistical prick. You'll probably get like booted out of the building or taken advantage of or beat up on, and all whole sorts of things that shouldn't happen, but probably do. But at the same point, you got to walk in that building with charisma. You got to walk in that building of training with confidence. You got to put it on, turn it on, and be the performer that you want people to see. You need to personify, exemplify, and dignify the reasons why you're meant to be a pro wrestling superstar.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Without giving too much away, what is encapsulated in the ebook, and it is How to Be a Pro Wrestler, Mr. Ryan Katz, and you can get it at howtobeaprowrestler.com. We're
killing it here. Stewie, man, you're killing it. I love your energy too, man.
It's pre-tape with me though, isn't it? I don't do this show live. I never have done. Some people like, you need to go live. No, not necessarily. Not necessarily. A lot of people are going that route. That's fine. That's absolutely fine. But the MMA and boxing show is live, so that's been good in that aspect, doing it live. But I've stuck to my guns with this. We're over 3 years in, and I'm
a little less pressure, man. A little less pressure.
Yes. And if there is stuff that needs taking out, we have the ability to do it. which is always handy.
You can beep my swears. See, on my show, I try not to swear, but I'm a little looser right here, right now.
Absolutely. Mr. Ryan Katz, Mr. Wrestling, the host of Oh You Didn't Know on Podcast Heat with Hall of Famer Road Dogg. You can catch it every Thursday, available on all podcast apps. You can get it on YouTube as well, can't you?
Absolutely, man.
Yes, do you want to
I think it's Oh You Didn't Know is the channel. I'm not positive on that. I should probably research that next time.
I'm enjoying it. I really am. Can't wait for episode 5 tomorrow. You're doing a great job.
Drops tomorrow with special guest Scott Armstrong. This episode is phenomenal for everyone that likes to hear stories of the old school days of wrestling. Scotty does have a good memory of those times and talks about his territory days. And it's one of my favorite episodes so far. It's phenomenal.
See, not just a referee. He was in that Family Man. So yeah, we're going to get that. That's going to be superb. I look forward to that, Ryan.
I do too. I hope people enjoy it as well. I hope people enjoy it. And then if they do, that they could spread the word, share, subscribe, do all of those things and help us grow, because I've been out of work for a bunch of time right now and I need some subscribers and listeners and watchers because Papa's got to eat. My puppy's got to get some treats.
Absolutely. My guest, all the way from Florida, Orlando, by way of Chicago, as I've got to get that in there. It's Mr. Ryan Katz, GQ Money, you name it. Here he is.
There's a lot of them. There's been Ringside Ryan, Fabian Kalin, Styles Monroe.
Yeah.
Man, I change names more than most people change underwear.
Thank you so much for coming on, man.
Man, thanks for having me, Stu. Once again, I talked about it when I first came on. You used to participate in my show so many years ago, and now to see you, as you said, 3 years of you doing this consistently, that's phenomenal. It's just awesome. Keep up the good work, and I wish nothing but success for you.
My oh my, that was amazing. Amazing stuff from Mr. Ryan Katz. I forgot about the Wrestling Society X stuff. He was Kaylee and Fabian. He was the ring announcer for that. But I'm sure I'll get him on again to talk about that. As I say, I could have spoke to the man for 6-7 hours and we still won't have touched the surface. But thank you so much. Anytime I've met Ryan as well, I've met him in person over here in the UK and in the US with WWE stuff going on, and he's always been amazing. And going back to AfterBuzz as well, the post show which he used to host, and he's just amazing. He's amazing. He's a great person. Please check out Oh You Didn't Know on Podcast Heat, his podcast with the Road Dogg. It's all about Road Dogg's career and life experiences, and this week's episode is with Scott Armstrong, Road Dogg's brother. And we will see you for episode 116 very soon of Stu's Wrestling Podcast.